Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, brothers and sisters. I just want everybody to wait for just 2 minutes before we start the program so that we can actually have the brothers and sisters arrive into this Ramadan session. But right now, I'm just going to pause the program so that we can start properly so that people can attend. And I can see that people are coming into the chat now. I'm just going to give it 1 minute so that everybody can come prepared, inshallah. Okay. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. Welcome, dear viewers, to this program, which is a Ramadan question and answer session. And it makes us very happy to be just days from this month of mercy. And just a few days from this beautiful month of forgiveness. We have an amazing opportunity today where we have with us our Shaikh Mohammad al Malki from Madinah, who will be answering questions which you have sent in already via the WhatsApp and Telegram. And the Shaikh has actually agreed to answer, if we have time, inshallah, to answer the questions that come in via the YouTube chat as well. And I have the phone in my hand, and inshallah, any questions that are coming in via the YouTube at the end, we will try and answer them as well. But without further ado, I will introduce our Shaikh Mohammad al Malki, who lives in Medina and teaches there and online, and he has been part of Itibatv since the beginning. Shaikh, welcome to the program. Are you with us? Are you off mute? Inshallah. I think maybe you might be muted. I'll try and unmute you. There we go. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. حياكم الله أخي العزيز شعيب, dear brother Shoaib, حياكم الله. May Allah Ta'ala make your scale of hasanat tremendously heavy with all what you do in serving the da'wah to the true understanding of Islam. And may Allah Ta'ala put also same amount of reward on the scale of your parents. And also, I would like to thank and I ask Allah to bless and be pleased with all those who are participating with us today and those who may listen to the session and benefit from it sometime later. Hayyakumullah.
Ameen. Jazakallahu khairan, Sheikh. Sheikh, we've had a lot of questions. I know you said that we are going to try and answer all the questions, but we have quite a lot of questions. So, inshallah, let's get right to it. So, Sheikh, some of the questions, I've separated them so that the smaller questions are at the beginning, so we can maybe go through them a little bit faster. First question regarding the vaccine. Of course, we're in a pandemic, and the coronavirus pandemic is here, and there is a vaccine as well. While fasting, can people have the vaccine administered, and would that break their fast if they had that?
First of all, alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi amma ba'd. At first, I would like to just clarify something. You may have heard the adhaan just right now, just finished, and you may hear the iqamah and the prayer going on. So for no any wrong interpretation, I would like to clarify that. I am talking to you now from Jeddah, not Medina. I came from Medina, so I'm a traveler, and I already joined Isha and Maghrib together at the time of Maghrib. The second thing is, in regard to this question, what enters the body is of two types. It is either food or that which can suffice the body instead of food, and the other is what is not food, such as medicines. And if we understand that, then we need to understand another fact, which is the things entering the body has three entrances to the body: the mouth, the nose, and the bottoms. And I mean bottom, front and back. Front and back for ladies and back for men. Whatever enters from the food entrance, which is nose or mouth, then that nullifies the fasting. Whether it is food, it is drink, it is medicine, whatever enters the mouth and the nose and goes beyond the throat and drop into the body, into the stomach, then that definitely nullifies nullifies the fast. The other inlets, which we said at the woman 2 and at the men 1, these are not these are not inlets to the body. Yes, it takes things into the body, but not to the body. Therefore, it does not nullify the fast. As Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala said, that if the person needed to bomb, for example, any liquid that may ease the dirts come out of the bottom side, then that does not nullify the fast, because it does not reach where the body can benefit from this bombed liquid. And similar to the front of the woman, because it's an inlet, but it's not an inlet to the body. It's an inlet to a certain limit of the body. So the body is not going to benefit from whatever enters from there, whether it is liquid or medicine or anything. In this spot, we have to also bear in mind some other things that may let things enter into the body, such as what? The veins. The vein. If the person is injected in the vein, and this injection is for any substance that an alternative of food, such as glucose, then that nullifies the fast. But if what is been injected, whether in the vein or in the muscle, and it is a medicine, this does not nullify the fast, because it does not stand as food or drink. That is the situation of all things entering into the body and the inlets of the body. Wallahu a'lam.
Jazakallahu khairan, Sheikh. That makes a lot of sense. So if it's nutritional, then it's different compared to a vaccine, which is not being taken for nutritional reasons. Sheikh, what about things such as an inhaler that people take for asthma and other illnesses, an inhaler, or nose drops and eye drops?
Now, inhalers, we have, first of all, inhaler from the nose, and we have also inhaler from the mouth. Inhalers are air spread inside the nose and the mouth, and it does not, what is inhaled does not go into the body. It is breathed and it goes to the breathing system. That does not nullify the fast at all. And the eye drops and ear drops do not nullify, because the eye and the ear are not inlets to the body. Even if somebody, even if the person, when he put the eye drops, feels some side of some type of sour taste in the throat, this does not mean that this liquid which been dropped enter, because the eye is not an inlet to the body, as well as the ear. But the nose drops, this nullifies the fast, because when you drop it, when you use the nose drop, you will have to bend your head back and drop, and then it goes into the body through the throat. That is the one nullifies the fast. Wallahu a'lam. But again, sorry, if the person need that, then no problem for him to take it and break the fast. Because Allah Ta'ala said in the ayah of Siyam in Surah Al-Baqarah, يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ بِكُمُ الْيُسْرَ وَلَا يُرِيدُ بِكُمُ الْعُسْرَ. Allah intends ease for you, and He does not intend difficulties or hardship for you. So no one says that, no, I will not take it, and then it accumulates and gets worse and worse. Because maybe if he takes it during the daytime, inshallah, he gets healed quickly. So when he stands for the taraweeh, he will not be disturbed with the nose block or nose running, and he may disturb the people if he keep sneezing because of his nose problem. So we say, if it is needed, take the nose drop and break the fast and make it after Ramadan and get ready to pray the taraweeh. If this cannot, or it must be taken during the fast, but if it can be delayed until after iftar, then that is the best, if it can be delayed. But if the doctor says it has to be taken in this time, then no problem to break your fast and make it after Ramadan. No.
Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh. That's very clear. to us as well. And on the topic of sort of injections and stuff, if somebody has an operation and they are going to have an anaesthetic injection, which is where the doctor will put them to sleep, would that be allowed? And of course, on that point, would then vitamin injections, which actually provide you with sustenance, vitamin, actually with vitamins and nutrition, they would not be allowed. Am I correct in understanding that? And also about the anaesthetic injections, inshallah.
The anesthetic injection is not food, and it does not stand as something instead of food, but it causes the body to get into a kind of a state of nervousness or nerveless, so he does not feel. That does not nullify the food. The fast. Whether he needs it for tooth fixing or tooth treatment, or for operation, or for whatever reason. But the thing is, if he takes it before fajr and he did not have the intention to fast, then this day cannot be considered. But if he had the intention to fast and they gave it to him, then it is like him sleeping and awakening after fajr. So it does not nullify. But the vitamin injections, yes, of course, because the vitamin is the nectar of all food. The vitamin is taken to the body to give him the same exact thing that the food can give. And it is taken from food. It's not medicine. So the vitamin injections nullifies the fast. Wallahu a'lam.
Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh. And I think that clears up the injection side of things. Now, coming on to bleeding, if somebody has a bleed from their hand, or if they have a nosebleed, would that nullify the fast? And moving, the next question is kind of linked as well, which is, if you go to the dentist and you have a tooth removed, now of course there's going to be bleeding as well, and removing teeth or having bleeding, would this nullify the fast?
The bleeding is of two types. One that nullifies and one that doesn't nullify. The one that nullifies is the woman bleeding in the menses period or after giving birth. This definitely nullifies the fast. All other bleedings does not nullify the fast by itself, except if it leads to body weakening. So he cannot do anything after bleeding if he had cut on his hand or something like that, and he bleeded badly. So he needs now to take some liquids to give the body some strength. So the bleeding does not nullify the fast, but he will need to take something to replace this blood that left the body. The tooth bleeding or gum bleeding, it does not nullify unless if he swallows it. If he swallows the blood, even if it is with saliva, still this nullifies, because the blood is not saliva. So if he swallow the bleeding from the teeth or the gum, that nullifies the fast. And one more thing is related to the bleeding, is the cupping and the blood donation or blood test samples. The cupping and the blood donations, or taking blood samples for test, these all does not nullify the fast upon the proper opinion of the scholars. Some, because there are two hadith. One, the Prophet ﷺ said, "Aftar al-hajim wal-mahjum," the one who does the cupping and the one who the cupping is done for him are both nullified their fast. And the other hadith of Ibn Abbas, he said that Rasulullah ﷺ had cupping done for him while he was fasting in Ramadan. So this means that the cupping, on the proper opinion, does not nullify the fast. If the person can delay cupping or blood donation or blood test until after iftar, that would be good. But if he needed to do it during the day, then that, upon the proper opinion, does not nullify the fast. Nah, wallahu.
Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh. I think something that is kind of linked to what you mentioned is also somebody asked about the vomiting. So if a person was to vomit, would that invalidate their fast?
Vomiting is has two cases. One done accidentally, and the other done intentionally. As in the hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said, "Man istaqa'a fa'alayhi al-qada, wa man dara'ahu al-qay fala shay'a alayh." So the one who he himself causes the vomiting, like for example, he knows that this smell causes him vomiting, and he intentionally go and have a smell of that. Intentionally, he is intending to encourage his body to vomit. Then this person definitely had nullified his fast. The other thing is if he puts his finger into his throat and cause vomiting, same thing. He will nullify his fast. But if he accidentally vomited without any interference from himself, then if he does not return any of his vomit into the body, then that does not nullify. But if he swallowed any part of it, this nullifies. So now nullifying is not because of the vomiting, but because of what he swallowed. I hope this is clear.
Jazakallah khairan. This is very clear, Sheikh. And I'd just like to go to the comments for one moment. There are a few people giving you salam, Sheikh, including Tayyib, who is part of Itibatv, who set it up on the technological side, and other brothers and sisters saying salam, including a brother from Momineen team in India, and a brother who has asked the question. The coronavirus vaccine question has already been asked. It's at the beginning of the video. Inshallah, once the video is over and it will be uploaded, you'll be able to see the answer to that question. And before I continue with the questions up there, I think this is a very small question. I think from a sister who maybe does some sewing, who's asking that if she was to cut thread with her mouth while sewing, and some of that thread was to go in and she was to swallow it, would this nullify the fast?
If it is accidentally, no, it doesn't nullify. Because it is not food and it is accidentally.
Jazakallah.
And the Prophet ﷺ said that my Lord has raised the pardon from my ummah if they mistaken or forgot. So this is done by mistake, so it is not a nullifier.
I think this will help many of our mothers when sewing clothes for their children for Eid, inshallah.
But I don't advise them. I don't advise them at this time to cut the thread by their teeth. Alhamdulillah, now we have scissors, we have blades. Maybe when they cut, they hurt their gum. So don't use their teeth.
That is a good point. That is a good point. Yes, it's a good recommendation there from the Shaykh.
Maybe in the old days, in the old days it was difficult to find scissors in every house.
Yeah.
Now in every house you can find many scissors.
Absolutely, absolutely. Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh. Good advice outside of the topic of discussion as well. Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh. Before I ask actually the next question, somebody just asked a question about glucose injections. I think what they mean is perhaps the fact that diabetics and stuff like this who are taking on the topic of insulin, so they're taking either insulin, glucose. I think you mentioned it comes under nutrition. You already mentioned glucose, but I suppose maybe they mean diabetic injections, which give you insulin in order to deal with the diabetes.
The insulin does not go into the body because the insulin is injected under the skin, and the insulin is not a kind of food, so it's not going into the body. The body will absorb it, will suck it, and it will take it to the pancreas to just what we call to balance the sugar in the blood or the diabetes. So this does not nullify. But if any other substance added like glucose, yes, it does nullify because glucose, you cannot give it the same way you give the insulin. The insulin is under the skin. Glucose cannot be given there. If it is given there, then the body does not benefit at all from it. So the glucose is kind of food. It's a food. It's not just the insulin is a medicine and the glucose is food. That is the difference. So if it is food, then it does nullify. Or natural, as we said. If it is a medicine, then it does not nullify.
Jazakallah khairan. And one thing I'd mention about the insulin, I am a pharmacist, so I will mention this one thing. If you are taking insulin, you're probably eating food with it as well. So don't have that with food, which is probably going to be as suhoor or iftaar anyway. And so coming to the next question, Sheikh.
But if you don't mind, I would just emphasize the point here to the people who are suffering of diabetes, the diabetic people. The advice is if you cannot fast, then don't force your body. Allah permitted you to break the fast and feed the needy for each day. Because this is something permanent. This is a life-linked disease. So you cannot get rid of it. But if you can, I'm a diabetic, alhamdulillah, but alhamdulillah, I can fast, no problem. But if I work, and now I'm retired, so I fast and alhamdulillah, have enough time to rest. But if I am a diabetic and fast and go to work and it is hot, something like that, and you lose liquids, then definitely it will affect. And the effect is not necessarily that you get dizzy, but this causes sometimes, unconsciousness, and it causes many other problems. So if the doctor says you do not fast, then do not fast and feed the needy for each day. Wallahu a'lam.
Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh. That's a very important point as well. Sheikh, sometimes we find that because of a hadith in which mentions the smell from the mouth of the fasting person, a lot of people will not make toothbrush. So a lot of times the discussion comes up whether toothpaste is allowed on the toothbrush and you're allowed to apply toothpaste or not. Does this hadith mean that we cannot apply toothpaste during fasting? Because to some people we're brushing our teeth and then we're spitting it out. To some people it will linger around and it has a taste to it, etc. So please clarify whether we can use toothpaste while fasting.
First of all, Islam or the Prophet ﷺ mentioned two rulings in two hadith about the mouth or the smell that comes out of the mouth of the Muslim. One, he insisted that we use toothstick, which also can be replaced with the toothbrush and toothpaste. That is in the time when we are going for wudu, the time we are going for prayer, the time when we are going for bid, the time when we wake up, and most of the times. Why? Because the Prophet ﷺ said the siwak, the toothstick, matharatun lil fam, it's a purifying method for the mouth. Wa mardatun lil rabb, and it is a matter to please Allah the Almighty with. So this means it's encouraged to keep doing or cleaning your mouth with toothstick or toothpaste and toothbrush. The second hadith talks about the smell that comes because of an obedience. Let me give you another hadith which talked about the mouth smell. The Prophet ﷺ forbidden praying in the masjid for someone whose mouth smell is bad, but not because of fasting. It is because of some vegetable eating or anything that he takes. Yani, the Prophet ﷺ said that anybody or whoever eats garlic or onion, and he said, let him to abandon our masjid, not to come to the masjid. And one day he found a smell of garlic from someone who came to the masjid. Then he commanded the Sahaba to carry him from hands and legs and threw him in the Jannatul Baqiyah or Baqiyah graveyard. Why? Because this smell is caused by him. He is want to eat this tree and come to the masjid. So he ate it. Then he should pray elsewhere with this reward, because he is the cause for that. The second bad smell is that now this bad smell, Allah doesn't like it from the Muslim. The angels get disturbed with it, and even the Muslims who are praying get disturbed. Now the second one is that which is caused by fasting. The first one is caused by comes from the mouth, but the fasting bad smell comes from the empty belly, because you are all day, and that's why, for example, after Fajr you don't have any bad smell. Up until nearly Dhuhr you don't have the bad smell, but from Dhuhr up on you will start having bad smell coming of your mouth. This bad smell, the Prophet ﷺ said that it is before Allah better than al-misk. Misk is the best perfume ever. So Allah Ta'ala considered it bitter. Why? Because it is done just to obey Allah by this ibadah, by abandoning the food and drink which can change the bad smell to good smell. This one, we are told to also defeat it. How? By using toothstick and toothbrush and toothpaste. Even if we are fasting, we still have to use these things that removes the bad smell from the mouth. So it is permissible to use the toothstick or toothpaste and toothbrush. When you use the toothbrush, definitely you are going to find a smell, a taste, sorry. This is another thing. What is prohibited? To find the taste or to swallow the what we call that? The thing that gives the taste. Yani, for example, the woman in the kitchen, she is cooking while fasting. How can she adjust the or balance the sugar or the vinegar or the lime or the salt? She has to taste. But when she tastes, she spit out, because the taste is caused only by the tongue. So she tastes and she spit it out. Ibn Abbas used to go to the market, and before buying any food, he tasted and then spit it out. And he's fasting. Now, when you use the toothpaste, definitely you are going to find the taste. The taste is not the problem. The problem is when you swallow it. If you swallow the water with the toothpaste, then that nullifies the fast. If not by the toothpaste, by the water. Because your mouth has water and toothpaste now. And both of them nullifies your fast if entered into the body, except if it is accidentally and it is a little bit, then that does not nullify. Wallahu a'lam.
Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh. So that, I think, clarifies that issue completely, inshallah, for many of us who have to go to work and stuff.
And if you pardon me, I will add something similar to the mothers you said about the thread and like that. When you use the toothpaste, definitely the rash is going to come off. So is this something nullifies the fast if it's gone with the saliva? No, it doesn't. Because this is beyond our ability, beyond our control. No.
Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh. That's very, very useful to know. Sheikh, some people are saying that there is obviously because of the coronavirus situation, there is still some caution around. Certain countries are in a lockdown, some are not in a lockdown. Some have given the ability to the masajid, especially non-Muslim countries. You can go to the masjid if you are not vulnerable to illness. And because of this, many people feel that the question says that they will not feel the spiritual nature of Ramadan if they don't go to the masjid. So they want to go to the masjid despite the guidelines, basically saying that they maybe shouldn't go to the masjid because of their own vulnerability, or they live with their parents or somebody who are vulnerable to dying from coronavirus. What advice would you give on this? Should they go to the masjid or should they avoid?
If the country is affected or infected with the coronavirus and it is there and the numbers increasing, then we don't advise young people to go to the masajid, and definitely the old people cannot go. But even young people, because they may carry it and bring it back to the family members in the house. And I remember my wife's uncle, rahimahullah, he was somebody who did not used to go to the masjid because he's old and he wanted to keep. But his son used to go to work, and his work is very public. He goes with people and he comes back. So he brought the virus and infected the whole family. But because the father was old and have some illnesses of age, he was the one who suffered of it very badly, and he was taken to the hospital under breathing machines for 2 weeks, and then he died. So now he didn't go to the masjid, but his son used to go and mix with the people and brought it to him. So that's why we say, if the virus is spreading around this area, then one must not put himself in risk and put the rest of the family in risk. But if it is, there are no much cases, and the masajid are taking cautions, meaning that they're praying in social distance and everybody wears the mask and use his own rug, praying rug, then that inshallah would reduce the risk. But again, and if he is not mixing with his old family members, then that makes it less risky. But if he lives with the parents who are old and we tell the father don't go, then this young man goes and brings it back, that's a bit risky. And also, if they opened the markets and the business and work and he go and mix there, we cannot say don't go to the masjid, because what can happen in the masjid can happen in the market, can happen in the office, can happen in any of these places. But we say be careful. And the other thing is, besides that, he takes caution, like wearing the mask and praying on the praying rug. He needs also to once he returns, he needs immediately to go to the toilet before meeting anybody, take off his clothes, take shower, and the clothes put in a plastic bag and to the cleaning machine. So by that, we inshallah say his visit to the masjid does not cause the problem in the house. Now, wallahu a'lam.
Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh. I think that clarifies the issue. For the people who are watching, Allah reward you, and some nice questions coming in. Can I ask the people who are watching, like the video, share the video, so that more people can inshallah benefit and then gain more rewards as well. Sheikh, the next questions, there's about 3 questions on Fidyah. So if I could move towards those. The person asks, it is to do with somebody who cannot fast during the month of Ramadan due to weakness or old age or a permanent illness which affects him during when he fasts. He has to offer Fidyah, where he needs a meal, needs to feed a meal to a poor person for every fast that he is unable to do so. So his question is, can the person give the fidyah before Ramadan starts, i.e. before Maghrib or before Ramadan finishes? Secondly, if somebody wants to send money to a poor country to feed them abroad, how can that be done? Can this be given as money or does it have to be given as food?
Let me begin from where we ended. The expiation, the kafarat cannot be given except as it is said. So the kafara has to be given as it is. Feeding, you have to give food. You cannot replace it with money, because some people say, but money is bitter for him. No, we say it's not the matter of bitter. It's a command from Allah. Allah could have say, if you can't, no problem, finish. Don't give anything, don't do anything. But Allah said, feed a needy. So don't come and say, better than feeding him, give him the money, maybe he buys something more important to him. We say, no, you cannot change what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said and decided. That is the in regard to the expiation itself. Now back to the causes of permissible breaking fast. The sickness is of two types. Sickness that the trustworthy doctors decide that it's not going to be cured, so it's going to be with him forever. Then this kind of sickness is the one that the sick person gives a kafara instead, or a fidyah, instead, by feeding a needy for each day. But if the sickness is something that can be cured even after 2, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, he needs to wait until he is healed completely, cured completely, and then he make those days up. The third type is if he is weak, as you said, due to weakness. Weakness, if it is weakness illness, meaning it's not weakness because he is not eating well or he's not resting well, but it is because his body is bit like that, it's deteriorated, it's weak. And the doctor says to him that you either eat regularly and in certain times, otherwise he knows himself, he cannot he cannot do the normal activities. He will need to just relax. This type of person, he can break the fast and feed a needy for each day. But this, the ulama said that he cannot do it based on his assuming. He is assuming that he is going to be weak. He should fast up until he is totally weak. He cannot now continue. Then he breaks and feed the needy. The last one is the elderly people. The elderly people who are not sick, but because of their age, they cannot fast. Why? Because in that age, people cannot eat enough food in every meal. Not because they don't find, but because their digestive system cannot digest it. The body cannot digest it, so they need to take small portions of food. And instead of taking 3 meals, they will need to take 6 to 8 meals a day. So such people, they break the fast and feed a needy for each day. Feed a needy for each day. Wallahu a'lam.
Jazakallah khairan, Shaykh.
One point you mentioned in the question, when to give the fidyah. The fidyah cannot be given before Ramadan starts. But the fidyah can be given from the first day onward. If he wants to do it day by day, if he wants to do it every week or every 10 days, in advance or after, as he like. But before Ramadan, he cannot. He can delay it until after Ramadan, no problem. And it cannot be given as money. It must be given as food. And the food either be cooked, and it is a meal enough, not a meal by meaning a big meal, but a meal enough for one person. And for one time, not for one person all day, but for one meal. If not cooked, then it is half sa' of the Prophet ﷺ. The sa' of the Prophet is both hands collected together, spread it, and you put grains in it 4 times. And that is for the person who is middle size, not the very slim and small hand, or not the other size, which is very large in body and big. No, but it is medium. So medium size hand, both hands together, full, that is 1/4 of a sa'. So he needs to do 4 of this to be sa'. For the feeding, for the breaking the fast, 2 of his hand, which is half sa'. Some ulama today weight it with the good quality of rice, because the rice sizes are different and weight is different too. Instead, the good quality of rice, the big size and bit have weight, that is from 1 kg to 1.5 kg. That's why we always say 1.5 kg of rice, uncooked. That is enough for each day. Now,
Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh. And very closely linked to this question, somebody is asking regarding the details of the ruling of Fidyah regarding the woman who is pregnant or breastfeeding. And I think that that's closely linked to what you said. I think they are included as well. And they are asking a very similar question about when it's given. But I'm not sure. Did you mention pregnancy and breastfeeding?
No, we didn't mention. No. The pregnant and breastfeeding woman has 3 different opinions among the scholars. In the madhab of Abu Hanifa, first of all, it's not because of pregnancy and because of breastfeeding they break the fast. No. If they get weak or they feel that they become very weak, then yes. It's not just because of pregnancy they go and break the fast. No. Our women used to be pregnant and used to fast, and alhamdulillah, normal. But if she knows that she gets very weak when she is pregnant, because the baby shares the food with the mother. So if she knows that she gets weak, then no problem. She can break the fast, and according to the madhab of Abu Hanifa, only make up those days, like the one who was sick or traveler. The second is the madhab of Imam al-Shafi'i and Imam Ahmad. The first one, the madhab of Abu Hanifa, to make up those days, is also an opinion of Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu. The second is the madhab of Imam Ahmad and Imam al-Shafi'i. They said if they fear that they themselves get weak, then they break the fast and make up the day only after Ramadan, like the one who is sick. If they fear for the baby to get suffer, then they break the fast and they make up the day and feed a needy. So this is the opinion of Shafi'i and Ahmad, and before them the opinion of Abdullah ibn Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu. The third, which I take as a more preferable opinion, the third is the opinion of number of the Sahaba, such as Abdullah ibn Abbas and Abdullah ibn Umar, that the woman who is in pregnancy and breastfeeding, if they fear that they or the babies get suffered or get suffered from the fasting, then they break the fast and only feed a needy for each day, and they don't make up the days. And this is, as we said, the opinion of Abdullah ibn Abbas, as Imam Abu Dawood reported in his Sunan and authenticated by An-Nawawi, that Ibn Abbas interpreted the ayah of Surah Al-Baqarah, وَعَلَى الَّذِينَ يُطِيقُونَهُ فِدْيَةٌ طَعَامُ مِسْكِينٍ. He said it was a permission for the old man and old woman, and they are able to fast, but it's difficult for them, hard. It's going to make them very weak and maybe collapse. And he said that they are told to break the fast and feed a needy for each day. And feed a needy for each day. And then he said, likewise, the woman who's pregnant and the woman who's breastfeeding, they feed a needy for breaking that fast on that day. Wallahu a'lam.
Jazakallahu khairan, Sheikh. Coming back now to the things which nullify the fast. Of course, we know regarding husband and wife relations what would nullify the fast, but somebody has asked regarding, for example, hugging or kissing, and some level of intimacy. Would this nullify the fast?
La, hugging, kissing, and even sleeping on the same bed, body to body, does not nullify the fast. Aisha radiallahu anha said that the Prophet ﷺ used to kiss while being fasting and used to hug, and even she said yubashir, and yubashir means not only hug but even sleep on the same bed, body to body. And he did not used to consider his fast broke or make up those days. As she radiallahu anha said, as in the Bukhari and Muslim, she said he used to kiss and yubashir. I don't want this word to be interpreted as hug, but it is hug, it is living with, without having sexual intercourse. And then she said, she justified, she said, وَكَانَ أَمْلَكُكُمْ لِإِرْبِهِ. Yani he was the strongest one in controlling his desire amongst you. And she said in other hadith, وَأَيُّكُمْ يَمْلِكُ إِرْبَهِ. And who of you can have the control of his sexual desire? So if the person knows that he can have the control of his sexual desire, then no problem to kiss and hug his wife. Wallahu a'lam.
Jazakallahu khairan, Sheikh. We have a sister who says, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. She makes dua for us. And then she asks a question regarding the permissibility of a woman who is having her menses, her period, whether she is permitted to recite the Quran. On that note, Sheikh, would it be, I would like to add to that, reciting with the tongue, please can you clarify the issue with regards to reciting with the tongue and touching the pages, if they would put a cloth in between the pages, all of these various different opinions.
The woman in menses can recite the Quran, and nothing prevents her from reciting the Quran if she recites from memory. If she recites from the Mushaf, from the book, the ulama have different opinions in regard to that. And some said no, at all she cannot recite from the Quran. And some said if she has a kind of burial, meaning she does not touch the Quran by her hand directly, then that is permissible. But the proper opinion, which the proofs and evidences is upon, is that the woman can touch the Quran even if she is in the menses, because in the hadith Aisha radiallahu anha said that, sorry, not Aisha, Ayman. Ayman was a slave of the Prophet ﷺ who he freed, and she stayed with them as a servant to the Prophet ﷺ. She said that the Prophet ﷺ said to her, bring me the praying rug, al-khumra. Al-khumra is the praying rug from the masjid. She said, but I am in menses. He said, your menses is not in your hand. What does that mean? That means that the hand does not get impure. And that same hadith was reported by Imam Muslim on the authority of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, who said that the Prophet ﷺ was in the masjid one day, and he said to Aisha, because his house was separated from the masjid by the same wall, and he has a window opens to his house and the masjid. So he said to her, give me the praying rug. She said, I am indeed in menses. He said, your menses is not in your hand. So she grabbed the praying rug and gave it to him. So this means that the woman's menses cannot have any relation with her hands. And that's why we say the proper opinion is that the woman can read the Quran from the Mushaf, even without any burial or gloves, or some of them say with the pen she turns the pages. What is the dalil for that? The dalil here of Aisha in Sahih Muslim and Ayman in Majma' al-Zawaid for Haythami, that he sallallahu in two occasions said to them, give me the praying rug, and they excused that they are in menses. He said, your menses is not in your hand. That means they can't use it. Wallahu a'lam.
Jazakallahu khairan, Shaykh. And there's another question on a similar topic, subject, which is regarding a woman who had her period, and during Ramadan she had fasts to make up, but the whole year has passed now, and there is not enough days left to make up the fasts of the previous Ramadan, and it is only because of negligence that she was unable to. She forgot and she was lazy. What should she do? What is the advice for her?
If the woman had some days from last Ramadan, and for no valid reason she still has them not made, and Ramadan is coming, we have only 3 days or something like that, then she has to make them after Ramadan along with a kafara, expiation, because she was the cause for not making them these days. She delayed, she was negligent, whatever. So that means, but if she, for example, after Ramadan she went sick and she couldn't fast, and then she traveled, she couldn't fast, and like that, then no problem. She just make them up after this following Ramadan, which would be the second. But if she is the cause, she wasn't having any reason for not to fast, but because she just delayed until this Ramadan came, then she has to make them after Ramadan and feed the needy for each day.
Jazakallahu khairan, Shaykh. Now, regarding one of the sisters has a question. She is undergoing Ruqya treatment, she says, with Raqi instructors who are reading upon her. They are upon the Sunnah. She says they recite on her for 3 to 4 hours or more per day, but this makes her weak and sick. What should she do during Ramadan?
If she can fast, then no problem. But if she get tired, can't fast, then she either stop the Ruqya or break the fast, because she's sick anyway. She can break the fast and make them up after Ramadan. because she's sick anyway. But my advice to the brothers and sisters who are suffering, try to recite the Quran yourself. Recite Surah Al-Baqarah as much as you can. It's not, oh, I recited, but nothing changed. Because whether you or the raqi or medicine, if you are sick, it is only with the permission of Allah the people can be cured from their illnesses, whether spiritual illnesses or visual illnesses, physical illnesses. So you need to do the ruqya on yourself and keep on the adhkar. Beg your Lord, ask Allah to cure you. Allah will respond one day. The issue is many people think that the raqi is the one who takes the jinn out or cures her, or it's not the raqi. It's the Quran, and it is the permission of Allah. It's the permission of Allah. If Allah look to that woman who used to come to the Prophet, who came to the Prophet ﷺ, and she said that she is possessed, and sometimes she get collapsed unconscious, and the jinn exposes, remove it, raise up the clothes and make her exposed. She came to Rasulullah asking him to ask Allah to remove this, to cure her. The Prophet ﷺ said to her, if you wish, I can make dua for you. But if you wish, you be patient, and Jannah is for you. She said, definitely I want Jannah. I will be patient. But ask Allah to make me not to have my body exposed when I collapse unconscious. So the Prophet ﷺ made dua for that. Look at that. The Prophet ﷺ guided her and us all that these are things Allah permitted to test you and to increase your reward and to raise your rank in the Jannah. And after that, we get ourselves in trouble because, oh, we want the jinn to go. We want the jinn. And sometimes, the jinn like that way and play with us. But if we ignore and we trust Allah and we keep asking Allah to cure us and do the remedies, the cause of remedies, which is reciting the Quran, which is Surah Al-Baqarah, eating 7 days on empty stomach early morning, doing the adhkar of morning, evening, going to bed, waking up, getting into the house and coming out of the house, all type of protection. Then Allah Ta'ala, because all these ibadat pleased Allah, so Allah Ta'ala will cure you bi'idhnillah. Now, but back to your question, you can't. If you needed to do the ruqya and the ruqya makes you very weak and you cannot continue fasting, the choice is yours. You either or to be honest, you can delay it until after Maghrib. Why necessarily to be done in the day? If you say that these raqis do not have time after iftar or in the night, and they cannot come in the night, and it is a necessity, then we say it's a necessity. You can break your fast and make it after Ramadan. Wallahu a'lam.
Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh, for that excellent explanation, especially on the topic of Ruqya as well. So some of the questions have come in. I think we've all been in this type of situation. The brother asks, when the muezzin makes the adhan, can I quickly drink water and complete my food, even if I have to get the food from the kitchen while the adhan is going on until the end of the adhan? And the second question is very closely linked to this. The brother asks, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, Sheikh. I woke up 2 minutes before the adhan and have a cup of milk in my hand and did not I did not start drink. I started drinking it, but it was in. I did not start drinking it, but it was in my hand. Can I drink this while the adhan is going on, or do I have to leave it?
The Prophet ﷺ said, إذا أذن المؤذن والإناء في يد أحدكم فلا يدعه حتى يقضي منه نهمته. Isa said, when the adhan is started, and one of you has the cup or the pot in his hand, then let him not to put it down until he finishes need from it. But to go to the kitchen and take the food or the drink, that is not allowed if the muaddin starts the adhan in time. But if the muaddin, as some masajid, they make the adhan a couple of minutes earlier, they say for protection, for caution. In this case, if you know 100% that the muaddin are from those who call the adhan earlier than the time, some minutes, then no problem. But we need to understand something. If it is adhan al-maghrib, will you wait some minutes until the adhan finishes and until... I think we all do that, and that is the sunnah. Once we hear the muaddin say, oh, we all break. We don't even wait until he finish Allah. Just, we already eat the date or drink the water or whatever. So why with the suhoor you want to sit down and like that, and then just when the adhan you go? The Sahaba, as in the hadith, the Sahaba said that they used to have the suhoor pre to the adhan by a period of what is enough to recite 50 ayat. And imagine how long you take to recite 50 ayat. Let's assume maybe 10 to 15 minutes. Let's say 10 minutes. 50 ayat. Maybe 10 minutes maximum, or average. So, and the ayat are different. Maybe short ayat, long ayat, medium ayat, but the ulama said that the medium ayat, 50 ayat, not less than 10 minutes, as I assume, unless if you recited in a very fast way. No, but it is recited with tarteel. Alif Lam Mim ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه. It's impossible that you finish 50 ayat in 2 minutes. It's impossible. So, as in the hadith reported by Bukhari on the authority of Anas ibn Malik, who reported it from Zayd ibn Thabit radiallahu anhu, he said, we ate the suhoor one time with the Prophet ﷺ, then he stood up and went to the salah, meaning the fajr. Anas said, I asked Zayd, how long was the period between you finished the suhoor and the adhan? He said, like we reciting 50 ayat. So it is not that, we wait until the adhan is about and then we or until the muaddin starts and then we eat and drink, unless, as we said, that 100%, not assuming, because the people mix between assuming. He himself assumes that the muaddin calls the adhan. Ask the muaddin, do you make the adhan on time or pre to the time? If it is pre to the time, then no problem. But take my advice, don't make it a habit that you drink or eat just 2 minutes before the adhan. La. But as in the hadith, like when it's a time as you recite 50 ayat. That is the time you leave, because in this time you need to be asking for forgiveness, as Allah Ta'ala said, وَبِالْأَسْحَارِ هُمْ يَسْتَغْفِرُونَ. At the time of suhoor, the time al-ashar means the time of suhoor, they seek for forgiveness. Not they eat, they seek for forgiveness. Yes, it is time for suhoor, but you leave a gap like a 50 ayat recited between your suhoor and the adhan. And this time for dua, for seeking for forgiveness, for getting ready to the masjid, like that. Wallahu a'lam.
Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh. And one of the questions that's just come in, is linked to a question from before, and I remembered one of the questions that came to my mind while you were mentioning it. So I'll mention both together. It's our brother Yusuf Umar, who says, who conveys his salams to you, Sheikh, and he says, can you ask the Sheikh regarding fitrana? Can this be given in the way of money, or must it come in the way of food? Now, I know we've already discussed the fidyah. Now, with regards to if a person has, for example, if a person says that they have relatives in a poor country, Pakistan or India, for example, and they give their relatives money there to feed the needy in that country, so they themselves are giving money, but their relative is giving the food. Would that be permissible? And regarding the fitrana,
yes,
is it in money or
yes, it is. It is sufficient and enough to feed. Yani whether you feed or you delegate it to someone to do it on behalf of you, no problem.
Okay, Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh. And so someone is asking a question about the Mushaf, and I think that this question is coming up because a lot of people are going to be doing Ramadan at home and doing taraweeh at home as well. Firstly, while praying in taraweeh, can they hold the Quran in their hand? This is one of the questions on YouTube. Can they hold the Quran in the Mushaf in their hand? Or the other question which we also have received is, could they have the Quran in front of them, like one of the large Tahajjud Qurans that you have, which the text is written large, and then read from that during it if they are reciting at home and they do not know much Quran?
It's no problem if he is not someone who memorizes the Quran, then no problem to carry the Quran on his hand and read from it. And today it's easier because the Quran is on the smartphones, as you see here, for example. The Quran is on the smartphone, so it's easy. You put it on the smartphone, and today we have an app that is called Quran for night prayers, meaning you adjust the speed of the rolling up, scrolling. It scrolls by itself as you are reading. Yeah,
I didn't know about this app. Okay.
I will send it to you and you spread it. You send it to them.
Inshallah.
Yeah, so even you don't need to keep changing the pages, or it goes itself, as you are reading until you finish, then you put it down, it stops, and like that. But if you need, no problem. If you are not memorizing the Quran and you want to recite, no problem. But in regard to that large Quran in front of him, if it is in front, beyond where he's making sujood, then this will cause many excessive movements, because he will need to go a little bit and change the page and return. And because you cannot have this Quran right in front of you here, so you can easily change the pages. It must be a bit further. So that means you're gonna do more movements, which will somehow takes the khushu' away. So if needed, all what you need is, and when you turn the phone as like this, see how large it is. You don't need to make it very large. And even if you need, you still can large it by spacing it gets larger. Wallahu a'lam. But it is permissible.
Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh. I think that will help many people who will be doing Taraweeh at home, especially this year. There is a big question, but before that, I'll ask the small question. What is the authentic dua for breaking the fast? And on that, I will ask as well, Sheikh, many people, when they are keeping the fast at suhoor time, they will read a dua as well. Is there any authentic dua at suhoor time? And the question from the brother is, what is the authentic dua for breaking the fast?
No, there is no dua especially for breaking the fast. The Prophet ﷺ said, whoever, there is a dua accepted for one who who makes dua by the time of breaking the fast. But he means what is the dhikr to be said by breaking the fast. In the hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said, or he used to say, ذهب الظمأ وابتلت العروق وثبت الأجر إن شاء الله. ذهب الظمأ وابتلت العروق. Give me a second. Let me. I thought the phone is off. 1 second. 1 second.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. Yes, we can see you, Sheikh. We can see you. Sorry, Sheikh. I was mentioning that we can see you.
Okay. طيب. So the hadith is ذهب الظمأ وابتلت العروق وثبت الأجر إن شاء الله. Thirst is gone and veins are wet and the reward is confirmed by the will of Allah. But this is not a dua, this is a dhikr to be said by the iftar. But the dua is you choose. The best dua at any time is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught us in the Quran. ربنا in Surah Al-Baqarah. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. As Ibn Kathir and many other scholars of tafseer, they said that this short dua has gathered all the goodness, all the khair of the dunya and the akhirah. ربنا, and it is easy. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. نعم.
Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh. Sorry, I was on mute at that time. Sorry. And so we have another question here, which is regarding specific programs in Ramadan. The person asks, does that become a bidah or contradictory to the way of the Salaf? But for example, people will teach tajweed during the daytime while fasting and have tajweed courses, or if they are having other sort of courses which they usually do not have outside of Ramadan.
Ramadan does not prohibit any activities. People can still do their activities normally in Ramadan, as the Prophet ﷺ, when we look to the battles of the Prophet ﷺ, many of them were in Ramadan. So to do the activities in Ramadan, and especially if it is activities of learning or teaching about the deen or the Quran, how to learn it, how like that or reviewing what you are memorizing with your teacher or your friend, that is still from the activities of Ramadan. Because Jibreel alayhi salam used to come to the Prophet ﷺ in Ramadan every night, in every single night, and he used to sit with the Prophet ﷺ and they recite the Quran. And in the last year of the life of Rasulullah, Jibreel came to Rasulullah in Ramadan twice, meaning they finished the Quran in the first half of Ramadan and then repeated it in the second half of Ramadan. So no problem to give courses or durus or Quran teaching in Ramadan. However, this is something good.
Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh. So the next question links in nicely. So there's about 3 questions which are basically around the same topic. One of the questioners asks, what is the best advice for Ramadan? Should they engage in the khatam of Quran, where they basically try and finish the Quran, and sometimes they will say, I finished this many Quran, or is it better to study tafseer? And the other question is, what is the virtues of Ramadan and fasting? I think that they're very closely linked. So if you could just give some advice regarding what is the best ibadah and what is the best thing to do while fasting. reading the Quran and getting through it and finishing many Quran, or doing tafseer, etc.?
The Prophet ﷺ one day was in a journey of travel, and he found the Sahaba surrounding something. He said, "What is this?" They said, "It is people who are fasting," meaning they collapsed, weak and tired. So those who were not fasting, because they are in a trouble, they break the fast. They were serving them and shading them. The Prophet ﷺ then said, "Those who are not fasting got the reward. They gone with the reward." So this means the person should do whatever is whatever he is best in. And if you are somebody who is best in serving the people and making food and distributing it, then do that. If you are someone who is having knowledge and you sit and teach the people how to pray or tawheed or ruling of fasting, then do that. If you are someone who is qualified in Quran, then sit and teach the people Quran. We cannot stop all activities and only we say only go for Quran. No, but we have to do kind of diversity of all diversity of all the worships, even if it is just to go and visit sick people in the hospital and help them with whatever they need to have help with, and the like, whatever. If you go in the street and help old people, everything that you do with the intention that Allah Ta'ala is pleased with, then you do it. We cannot say stop these things and do these things. No. But of course, every Muslim needs to give the Quran more time in Ramadan. Here is one advice. Don't make your aim is to compete with others in regard to how many times the Quran is, how many times you read the Quran. And try always to hide your ibadat, which people do not need to see. Going to the congregational salah as a man, you cannot hide because you have to go out of your house to the masjid so the people see you. This is no problem. But the optional prayers, the Prophet ﷺ said, the best of the prayer of the person is in the house except for the obligatory. So keep it in your house and hide it. Don't pray in the house and go and tell the people. For example, sadaqah. If it is zakah, then you give it out and people see it, no problem. But if it is optional sadaqah, optional charity, hide it as much as you can. Yes, sometimes you cannot hide it for any reason. Maybe because you have to give it there and people will see you, no problem. Or maybe because you wanted to encourage others to contribute, no problem. But if there is no reason why you go and contribute and come and tell the people that you contributed this amount, or you recite the Quran, you finished it in 3 days or 1 week, and then you come and tell your colleague, how many times you finished the Quran? Oh, I finished reciting it already twice. That's not good. The shaitan will come. Some people think that the shayateen are chained, so the shaitan will not come to me. No, what are chained are the big ones. But there are other shayateen who are still spread around. And in the land of kuffar, shayateen, this is their garden, this is their houses. So the shayateen are there all the time. So don't let the shaitan deceive you and make you tell people about hidden ibadat. La, keep the hidden ibadat between you and Allah. And that will increase your reward and raise your rank before Allah. Wallahu a'lam.
Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh. There's about 4 or 5 questions left, but I am wary of the time as well. Are you okay, Sheikh, to continue?
Yeah, it's okay, inshallah.
Okay, Sheikh. We don't want to put you into a problem.
No problem at all.
Jazakallah khairan.
This is my fuel and energy.
Jazakallah khairan. It's fuel for us as well. So somebody asks a worrying question. He says someone apostatizes, meaning he becomes a kafir during the day, and then so he was a Muslim, he leaves Islam, and then he comes back into the fold of Islam and recites the Shahada. Should he continue his fasting, or is it not counted?
No. Now, if he was fasting and he apostatized or apostated, he nullified all what preceded that. Khalas, that day is not valid. But now, if he again repented and was sorry and declared the Shahada again, then he has to hold of that day until evening, until the sunset. But this day is not count. He needs to make it up after Ramadan. So he cannot continue eating because he already nullified it, and he cannot consider it a day because he fasted half of it. But he has to fast, he has to continue the fasting, and after Ramadan make up that day.
Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh. And somebody just sent in a question now which is closely linked, so I'll ask this one first. He says, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, and makes dua for you and us. And then he says that regarding those fasts which were missed when the person was not practicing Islam, meaning they did not pray, they did not fast, those fasts from their youth or from when years before when they were not practicing, do we have to make them up? And if we have to make them up, then he's saying we may have lost count of how many days they were. So what should we do?
Right. When he wasn't practicing, was he a Muslim or a kafir? If he abandoned salah at all, then he is a kafir. He's not a Muslim. Because the Prophet ﷺ said the difference between us and them, meaning the kuffar, is salah. Who abandoned it, then he has fallen into kufr. So if he abandoned salah at all, he never prays at all, then he was kafir. And now he started practicing, so he returned to Islam. And then no, he does not need to make those days. No qada. But if he used to pray, but he did not used to fast, then he has to make up those days. If he does not know the number of days that he broke, he can't estimate, because if he used to fast sometimes and not sometimes, then maybe the confusion, then he builds, he guesses, and he builds up on the lowest number. Sorry, the highest number of the days that he did not fast. Okay, let's say that he says, I don't know if it is 15 or 20 days. We say no, 20 days. 20 days you need to make up. But if he knows the years that he did not fast at all in those Ramadans, then he needs to make up those whole years. Now, how to make them? He can make them through the year, whether he chooses the times of winter time when the day is short, and make them every day, or and even he can break some days, no problem. It's not Ramadan, it's a making up of Ramadan. Or he can make them through the year by fasting some days or breaking some days, or making them in the Mondays and Thursdays, and as well the white days, the 3 middle days of the month. All that is okay. But when we say 3 middle days of the month, by the way, it is the lunar month. It's not the solar month. It is lunar month. It's Hijrah month. Now, because many people think fasting is in the 13th, 14th, 15th of March. Say no, no, no. March has nothing to do with fasting. It is upon the Hijrah calendar.
Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh. Very, very beneficial, Sheikh. So coming to the last few questions people have asked. So, you said about the suhoor, somebody, sometimes the muadhin will make adhan maybe 1-2 minutes early. This person says that where this person is, then the muadhin will delay the time of iftar to be careful, even though this is opposed to the sunnah. And they say that this is just to be careful. But they say because of our smartphones and finding the sunset time by Google, etc., we know the exact time the sun will set. Should they break the fast at the time the sun is setting, or the time that the muadhin is giving adhan maybe 3 minutes late?
In the hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said, لا يغرنكم أذان بلال لا يغرنكم أذان بلال فإنما يؤذن بليل. Do not be deceived by the adhan of Bilal, as he only calls the adhan when it is still night. Why? To wake up those who did not pray witr, those who want to fast so they can take their suhoor, like that. And then he said, but when Ibn Maktoum calls the adhan, then stop eating and drinking. Why? Because he was blind. He cannot see. So he used to climb the masjid of the Prophet ﷺ, because the muadhin used to call the adhan on top roof of the masjid of the Prophet ﷺ. He used to climb up and wait until people come to the salah. They say, it's morning, it's morning. Then he calls. So it's not only one man or two men witnessed. That's why Rasulullah made Bilal, who can see in the night. So no deception, no confusion. Not deception, sorry, no confusion. Because if you are alone, you may get confused. Oh, I saw the dawn. But when it is 1, 2, 3 people, then it is confirmed. So now we say, if this muadhin who calls the adhan in Maghrib, and he says that he delays it 1 or 2 minutes, so to be sure, first of all, is this muadhin climbs up to see the timing, or he just used the calculation? Yani, if he is using the calculation and the calculation is trusted, then he does not need to delay, because delaying is like calling earlier. Delaying a minute like calling adhan earlier a minute, which is not acceptable at all. Allah Ta'ala said, Inna salata kanat al-mu'mina kitaban mawquta. It's in time. You cannot make it before, you cannot make it after. In regard to this brother, if he knows this muadhin that he makes it earlier, he should advise him. And if he advises him and the muadhin says, no, I will continue like that, making making the time a little bit 1 or 2 minutes later, so that we make sure. Then we say to this brother, if you are sure of the calculation of the timing, then go with that, because the muadhin is going with the calculation but giving some time to be, as he says, be in the safe time. No, safety is to call the adhan on time, not before, not after. Now, wallahu. And the Prophet ﷺ related the iftar not only to the muadhin. To the muadhin, if the muadhin is making the adhan precisely in time, or to your vision, to your sighting, as he said, إذا ظهر الليل إذا أتى الليل من ها هنا وذهب النهار من ها هنا وغربت الشمس أفطر الصائم. He was in Medina and he pointed to the east and west. He said, if the night comes from this side, from the east, and the day disappears from this side, the west, and the sun sat already, then that is the time when the fasting person has to break his fast. Now, Wallahu.
Jazakallah khairan. Last two questions, Sheikh. I think this is a small question, then we'll go to the slightly longer one. Ustad, what is the ruling on declining invitation to worship Allah more in the last 10 days of Ramadan? I think perhaps they invited somebody to come and worship Allah more in the last 10 days of Ramadan, and the person declined. They are asking about what is the ruling about the person who declined.
I couldn't understand what do they mean by inviting someone to come and worship Allah in the last 10 days. So what about the 20 days? He doesn't need to worship Allah? I don't know if he means that they go and do da'wah. If you are saying that there is somebody who doesn't worship Allah, he's a Muslim but he doesn't worship, or even a kafir, and you want to give him da'wah in the last 10 days, what about the first 20 days? What if he dies before reaching the last 10 days? No, yani give da'wah all the days, all the time, because you don't know, maybe you die before reaching the last 10 days, or maybe he dies, then you lose it. So give the da'wah, if I understand correctly. But if he means that they invite yani, a scholar or something, or someone who is as this thing that is pious, so we invite him to our house or to our masjid to give us or to do some worship, that is bid'ah, of course. That is bid'ah, of course. Wallahu, I assume he means the first example.
Yes, it sounds like that, and Jazakallah khairan for that. Interesting question from the initial comments on YouTube. It says, should a person start and break his fast with the majority of the people in his country, or should he depend on the sighting of the moon in any part of the world? May Allah reward you.
In the worships, we are commanded to follow the Prophet ﷺ. And the Prophet ﷺ said, in regard to the month of Ramadan, he said, صوموا لرؤيته وأفطروا لرؤيته فإن غم عليكم فاقدروا له قدره or عدته, another hadith. So he said, fast for sighting the moon of Ramadan and break the fast for sighting the moon of Shawwal. And if you are unable to sight the moon for a reason of cloudy or sandstorm, then complete the month 30 days. So now we say, majority, do they sight the moon? If no, then you fast with those who sight the moon. Those who sight the moon. But if they, in your country, majority or minority, they go and sight the moon, then you fast with them. Wallahu a'lam.
Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh. And I have one last question, and this is because of something that I see. And this is a question from myself. Sheikh, would you please be kind enough to advise those brothers who smoke during Ramadan and what they should do in terms of this habit that they have, or those brothers who shave what Allah has grown on their face, and regarding shaving and smoking and disobeying Allah with these what are seen as small things?
Generally, the disobediences or the sins get worse when they are practiced or done in times or places which are more related to the worship, like for example holy places like Mecca, or even in the masjid. If somebody inside the masjid backbites, it's not like the sin when he backbites outside. It's still their major sin, but here more major sin, because he's doing it in the place where nothing but good should be done. Now, if he does these things in the masjid in Ramadan, then it is worse, because it adheres the place and the time where these things should ever not be done. Now, these things that you mentioned, Smoking. Smoking is prohibited through the year. And shaving beard, prohibited through the year. Women exposing her fitna to the men, prohibited through the year. So when it comes to Ramadan, or when it is in Mecca or Medina, or in the masjid or something like that, then it is even worse. So my advice to everybody to fear Allah and take Ramadan as a great chance. Today, you are still alive. I'm sure that every one of us knows people who were fasting last year when we all were fasting in our houses, no masajid, no Salatul Eid, nothing. But they died. They already died, whether because of the COVID-19 or any other reason. They died. So who guaranteed that you do not die in Ramadan or right after Ramadan? My advice is take it as a great opportunity that Allah gave you to repent to Allah of any sin that you are committing. Immediately from now, don't delay until Ramadan. You stop it. If you are shaving your beard, you stop it. If you are smoking, you stop it. If you are drinking alcohol, you stop it. If you are taking mortgage or riba, stop it. If you are doing any type of sin, stop it from now. Because Allah made Rajab just a month far from Ramadan to rehabilitate your behavior. There is nothing to do in Rajab except to abandon all sins. As Allah Ta'ala said, فَلَا تَظْلِمُوا فِيهِنَّ أَنفُسَكُمْ. Do not oppress yourselves. Do not cause yourselves get into sins in the months which are sacred. And from them is Rajab. Then Sha'ban comes. And Sha'ban, as the Prophet ﷺ said, it is the month in which the records of the year are raised to Allah. So he used to fast it. Why? To rehabilitate the body. And Ramadan comes for both. You need to abandon every sin and struggle and fight against yourself. So Allah Ta'ala said, وَالَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا فِينَا لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلَنَا. Those who struggle for the cause of Allah, Allah will give them more guidances. So may Allah Ta'ala make us from those who repent immediately and without any further delay, now and not tomorrow. May Allah Ta'ala accept our repentance, and may Allah Ta'ala protect us from falling into the sins, and may Allah Ta'ala increase our iman, our piety, our taqwa, and increase us in knowledge, and make us from those who repent honestly and correctly. Wallahu a'lam. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه.
Jazakallahu khairan, Sheikh. I just want to thank you and thank the viewers first for, number one, the questions that they asked, and their questions allowed us to understand and learn so much. Jazakallahu khairan to everybody who asked the questions, and there was nearly 200 people watching. Jazakallahu khairan to them as well for benefiting and allowing us to benefit as well. And to you, Sheikh, Jazakallahu khairan for the time that you give us on this channel and other channels. And in Ramadan, the plans we have, inshallah, with the Sheikh will be continuing to teach in Ramadan, and inshallah we will benefit as well. Jazakallahu khairan, Sheikh. So,
and I also would like to take this opportunity to first of all say Jazakallahu khair, Dr. Shoaib, for having this great service to Islam and Muslims. And I would also thank you for hosting me. Jazakallahu khair for that. And I would like also to thank all the audience who are listening, and those who raise the questions, and those who are going to listen to this session later on. May Allah Ta'ala keep us all safe from all diseases and pandemics, and make us reach Ramadan strongly and safely, and make us able in Ramadan to do all good and accept it from us, and make Ramadan a station of change in our life to the best and better. Wallahu a'lam. Wa sallallahu ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa وعلى آله وصحبه. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.